as YouTube, which we're live on YouTube now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Change Starts With Us, Ohio. And we have Frank P. Wood on. He's been on several times already discussing his case. He was a man that is innocent, that Medina County kind of railroaded him and did not go by facts. Welcome, Frank.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. You're starting to give me the views on our podcast, so I'm thankful. But why don't we start where we left off at?
Sure.
Okay.
Where we left off last time, Jim, the last item that I wanted to finish discussing was we had mentioned my first incarcerated pro se appeal that I filed, called a 26B application to reopen. So Jim, proof of my innocence, I filed pro se into the 9th District Appellate Court. And so and everybody else knows, it's straight from the trial record. It's all state's evidence. So it was devastating because the prosecutor never filed a brief against that in the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals, Judge Carla Moore, she issued a 38-page denial against me and used evidence from an allegation, alleged evidence from another allegation, that was closed and terminated against me to leave me in prison. Not only that, she tried to say that there were all sorts of other allegations and that justified the judge's decision. Wait a minute. You just assumed the role of prosecutor. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, I told you, this judge just assumed the role of prosecutor.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
The violation of the separation of powers, let me tell you. And if those other allegations had merit, they would have been part of the charging instruments, and they were not. They were not part of the indictment. So when it comes down to it, they used alleged illegal evidence against me to deny that appeal and left me in prison. So when everything comes down to that indictment, okay, and we were talking before, and somebody asked me, well, how did two different allegations make it to the same charging instrument? Because these allegations are not only separated by 5 years, therefore chronologically unrelated, they are also unrelated by family and location. So I wanted to clarify that so people would understand. So everybody knows that we are discussing State of Ohio versus Frank P. Wood, Medina County case number 05CR0365. Everything I'm saying is supported by state court and public records, which can be viewed at my website, www.freefrankpwood.com. And everything is verified by affidavit, and every single affidavit that is listed on that website has gone uncontested by the state because they can't touch it. It's their evidence that frees me. It's their evidence that puts two perpetrators in prison.
Right.
It's their evidence that could put Judge Collier in federal prison. That's what they're worried about. Now, we talked about motives in the past. Yes, I stopped paying my ex-wife's bills. I was single, running my company, had an affair with a client's wife. She came on to me, I gave in. I'm human. Okay, I'm sorry. So, this is very important. Everyone knows that I was previously married to Robin Spencer, now known as Robin Spencer Spielman. Her daughter, initials are KS. She's the alleged felony-free GSI victim in my case. My entire pretrial history with her is listed in my affidavit/book, A Blueprint for Wrongful Imprisonment, on my website as courtroom. I was like, wow. I was quite stunned by that. We had problem with her mother and her brother, Ryan Spencer. I personally witnessed Ryan Spencer try and touch his sister, my former wife, look down her shirt, and I caught him touching the young girl. When I went to Robin, I said, Robin, there's a problem in this house. Please forgive my language. I said, I'm not dealing with this hillbilly shit, and I walked out the door. She chased me down. We talked. I had enough. She said we had trouble with Ryan when we were younger, and I'll take care of it. Okay. Of course, nothing got done. Now, after our divorce, this is where it comes into play. Allegedly, her daughter was about 9 years old, and they had a good touch, bad touch class. And she alleged that somebody in between July and September of 2004, that's a key date, September of 2004, she came home from school saying this happened. Remarkably, the allegation was for when she was 4.5 years younger, at 4.5 years of age, when she was still living with Uncle Ryan Spencer. And the grandmother, Linda Spencer, who I sued to get custody overturned of the girl to give her back to my former wife. It was a long, hard ride. Now, but Robin didn't come forward with allegations until the following year in May when I stopped paying her bills. Everything I said is in the trial record. That's scary. Everything's been filed in open court and has gone uncontested. Now, Robin said that when this happened, she took the poor girl to Children's Services and quote unquote, not the police. Please remember that. September of 2004 and not the police. This is important. Now, that case was investigated by former Medina City Detective Mark Kohler. I have most of his police report listed on my website.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
In my book, A Blueprint for Wrongful Imprisonment, and that police report is Exhibit 4. Okay? Now, there's a pattern here, and everyone's going to see it. So now, Robin did testify during trial that I was very good to her and the children. I never favored one child over the other. And she, quote unquote, didn't want me to go to jail. Then what the hell was she thinking? Come on. Oh, it gets much worse. Now, in the meantime, a few years later, I met Danielle Sadowski, now known as Danielle Smith on Facebook. According to her testimony, she moved in with me in the summer of 2004, early summer. Now, this is 2 years after Robin and I were divorced. So, my pretrial history with her is listed in my book on the website as Exhibit 9. This has been filed in open court. No one's contested this data. So, Danielle found out that she was pregnant during the first few days of September 2004. Here we go again, September 2004. Now, I didn't know Danielle was pregnant, but she started to ask me about my former wife, where she worked, what her name was, okay, does she have kids? I'm like, I was always open with Danielle, completely honest. And Danielle even testified that I had an open door policy in the house. There were no secrets in the house. The only time a door was closed if someone was changing their clothes or going to the bathroom. Okay? And I meant it. Because I knew I was in a divorce situation with children, and I wasn't running any risk. But I was like that when I lived with Robin. There was no difference. Everybody had to be open and on the same page. Now, forgive me.
It stinks getting old, doesn't it?
Say again?
It sucks getting old that your memory's falling.
Yeah, it does. Plus, it's the environment that I'm in. If you only knew what I was looking at while I'm talking to you.
I don't want to know.
So evidently, Danielle told her soon-to-be ex-husband Scott that she was pregnant, but not me. I found out through their biological son and their legal guardian daughter.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Make sure you call back, okay?
Yes, I'm going to call back.
Okay.
And just so you know, before I hang up and call back, goodness, I approached Danielle and asked her why she didn't tell me why I had to find out from the kids. So, in the meantime, Jim, I'm going to hang up and call you right back.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to bring the message out, is to let people know that there is wrongful convictions, and we need help. We need legal help. We need financial help. Please look up our website, www.changestartswithusohio.org. You could email us at changestartswithusohio@gmail.com if you'd like to make a donation. I'll send you the information. You could give us a call at 380-799-3868. Again, our website is www.changestartswithusohio. And we are here to serve. You know, my specialty has always been pro-reform, but another passion is those that are wrongfully convicted and totally innocent. I was wrongfully convicted. I would have only gotten 6 months if they, they dropped that charge and then the state picked it up. It's just a way that the state wants to look better, so they would come up and kind of fudge things to make it look worse than what it was, so that they can get more money out of the federal government. They could do what they think everybody else wants to do because they're lying on you. Stuff like this needs a change. And our people need a fair chance. I'm getting a little bit tired of the state saying, oh, nature of offense, they don't deserve the chance.
Hello.
Come on.
This is a prepaid. This call is from a correction facility.
Saved by the
subject to
bell.
Monitoring and recording.
Hey.
Thank you for using TTL.
Welcome back, Frank. Welcome back.
Thank you. Hey, Jim, we left off with the legal guardian daughter
Right.
of Scott and Danielle Sadowski. This poor girl is the alleged rape victim in this case. Understand, Danielle, her banking, my company's banking, my former wife's banking, her mother's banking, and where Robin used to work were all the same bank on First Merit on South Court in Medina. Okay? Everybody had a way to get to each other. Everybody knew each other, but they lied about it during trial. Now, the strange part is this. Scott convinced Danielle the baby was his. All right? This is in September. I didn't know any of this. Then they signed the case in 2.5 weeks later with Medina's expert witness.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
Still in September of 2004, Dr. Suzanne Lejeune of Cornerstone Psychological Services. Understand, this lady never interviewed me. Chapter 30 in my book is dedicated to this brain butcher. Okay? She didn't even know when the allegations took place by her own testimony. But we'll get to her in the near future. That's going to be a good... Oh, just too much. In the meantime, when I got out on bond, okay, I got the DNA paternity test results. There was a 50-50 prior probability the baby was mine. We discussed that before, but that's why Danielle took Scott's side. If she knew the baby was mine, Scott would be in here right now. Trust me. And I wrote about this in my book, but we're going to keep going. Now, understand, notice the patterns here. Both allegations were sexual abuse. Both allegations were assignment with Children's Services or Dr. Lejeune, okay? and not the police. If you're going to make allegations of sexual abuse, why didn't you go to the cops? Because they had to get the story straight. That's the problem. Implanted and transplanted memories, and I wrote about this in excessive detail, take time. But it came out during trial, it didn't work. Oh, they tried though. Believe you me, they did. So, now, understand that also that Danielle, when she signed that case in with Scott, with the psychiatrist, we were living together. She was living in my house, sleeping in my bed. We were intimate that month. And she did this and never told me. She never told me they signed that case in. Now, excuse me.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
Now, Jim, that right there shows a pattern of things that had developed in the case.
Right.
And the other thing is this too. But there's actually no symmetry between the actual allegations. One was considered sexual contact. One was considered sexual conduct. That's because there were two perpetrators. Scott Sadowski, Ryan Spencer. Because Dr. LaJour did testify, both mother and daughter, as Robin and her daughter, had the same coping mechanisms. And I caught that during trial, and I studied that in prison. That's because they were sexually abused by the same person in the same house. That's tragic. You with me?
Yes, I am.
I live with this stuff. I live with this every day. It's a nightmare for me. In the meantime, both allegations eventually, okay, the one from the felony 3, that also got referred to Dr. LaJour from Medina County Job and Family Services, Children's Services. So now they got both cases in the hands of their expert witness. Okay? And the funny thing is this. The indictment and the bill of particulars, which is what you have to defend during trial, the actual charge, there's no specific crime scene mentioned. It's just somewhere in Medina County for either allegation. I'm like, they kept everything so general. Anybody could have said anything and it would have worked. That's frightening. There were no specifics. Now, so basically, they proved to me that you can indict, arrest, try, and convict on speculation.
Right.
That's hard. This is America, man. That's not supposed to happen. It is not what the framers of the Constitution intended. That's why we have due process of law and equal protection. Because anytime we throw out due process of a law, like the right to cross-examination, the equal protection of that law follows suit. And they're good at what they do. In the meantime, Detective Mark Kohler of the Medina City Police Department, he is the one that investigated the felony 3 GSI. He did contact Montville Police Department, who interviewed me, who investigated the felony 1 alleged rapes on, 2 or 3 different occasions. Every time Danielle went down there to file charges against me, under Scott's orders, remember I said that?
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
It's in the transcripts. They refused. Eventually, they interviewed me, and I went down to interview without an indictment, without a warrant, without a lawyer. I said, let's do this. I let them search my house without a warrant. I interviewed without a lawyer. I didn't care. I had nothing to hide. I offered DNA and polygraph without a lawyer present on camera. They refused to show this video in the courtroom. Eventually, their office, Montville Police, Montville Township, with Officer Travis McCourt, terminated the case against me. The Detective Kohler's police report, he contacted Montville. Montville told him there's insufficient evidence to prosecute. We're not doing this. So they threw the case out. Then his sergeant threw the case out too. When that police report surfaced at trial, that said why they terminated culminated that case? That got illegally suppressed by Judge Christopher J. Collier. Oh yeah, he made sure he helped that prosecutor out. No matter what, they were to get their conviction. Now, there were a lot of players involved, multiple investigative agencies, and goodness, the biggest ones were Cornerstone, Dr. LaJour, Montville, and Medina City. Now, Detective Kohler admitted twice on record that he was operating outside of his jurisdiction. He had no right in the case to begin with. So what was he doing? Even Akron Children's Hospital testified. Her name was Nurse Practitioner Donna Abbott. She could not conclude a rape occurred. Everybody, and even Medina, Trisha Carcetti from Medina County Children's Services, she sent a letter to the prosecutor saying there's no evidence, we've closed this case. That letter also got illegally suppressed during trial. I didn't even know it existed until after I got my transcripts and found it in there. I was like, what the heck? Amazing. Amazing. Now, so this all culminated into how the charges made it to the same charging instrument. Okay? And being tried by both socially, emotionally inflammatory charges, the nature of them alone, that is reversible error because that's called prejudicial joinder, Joinder, under law. They should never have tried both charges together. Never. And especially since the felony one was testified to having happened 3 counties away from where I was indicted and I wasn't there. And the felony 3, Judge Collier said on record, what I'm hearing her say is, no, it didn't happen. I'm in prison. That kind of rubs me wrong. Now, think about this, Jim. Dr. LaJour investigated the minds of these poor girls with me as the state's theory of Kirk. Okay? Right? And she concluded that her initial diagnosis of both girls was adjustment disorder because they were going through a lot. But I also found in the records where these girls were interviewed by school teachers, their parents, grandparents, their friends, and everybody was working their minds with their little stories, their little fantasies, and their little ideas. And it came out during trial. Danielle told this poor girl at Temple Virgin, Frankie raped you. What psychotic would come up with that? Judge Collier called her, the state star witness, Danielle Sadowski, now Danielle Smith, to be not truthful in her testimony and continued to let her testify. That is court acknowledged the state utilized perjury. They have to retry me without her in the courtroom. This is amazing, but nobody will listen. That's why, Jim, I'm grateful that, you're giving me a chance to have a voice in the matter. And I'm grateful. Listen, everybody out there, I know this seems confusing at times, but that's why I wrote the book. But I need to talk about it too. I need to get it out. So thanks for listening. This is very important to me. Now, Dr. LaJour actually ended up changing her diagnosis. And this is scary. Okay? I have
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
a copy of the minutes of the Medina County Commissioners meeting from November of 2004. Listen, this is an exhibit on my website, okay? Ron Stanley, Attorney Ronald R. Stanley out of Medina, good man, got me this, okay? He and his paralegal. And this is from page 2 of 8. Listen to this. The second resolution being presented was authorizing a professional services agreement between Job and Family Services and Cornerstone Psychological. He explained that Suzanne LaJour and Cornerstone Psychological have been providing, listen to this, for over 10 years, free therapy for Medina County children who have been sexually abused. She organized therapists from different JFS building for several hours every week. This agreement would be to trim some of her administrative costs. Mrs. Geisman moved to approve the agreement, and Mr. Hambley seconded the motion. There was no discussion. Roll call showed all commissioners voting aye. Hang on a minute.
Okay.
This was never mentioned during my trial. Never. So her diagnosis went from adjustment disorder to county contract to a diagnosis of sexual abuse. She was getting paid. No matter what. This is RICO, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organizations. We're talking county tax dollars at work being manipulated. This is fully an FBI matter. Okay? Jim, can you hear me? I had an echo there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, this right here, this created a dual illusion that one, there was no direct link between court, state, and psychologist, and two, court, state, and psychologists were acting as independent entities. No, they were not. Because in a previous phone call, I showed you how on record in the transcripts.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Oh, I hate to leave off
Hey,
here, but you know what?
yeah,
I'm
Mondays.
gonna call back.
Yeah, you can, but Mondays you and I will co-host a podcast. Okay, you'll co-host it with me on every Monday.
All right, well, I tell you what, brother. Thank you everyone for listening. And Jim, I'll give you a call over the weekend and we'll set up a time.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim, very much.
Sure. These cases are very interesting because these are men and women that are crying for help. They're innocent of their crimes. Please go to our website, www.changestartswithusohio.org. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.